Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to bring the June Planning Commission meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to give a brief overview of the process for the public meeting. The commission will be presented with agenda items by the city staff. A representative for the agenda item will then have the opportunity to make comments and or answer specific questions. I'll then open a public hearing as appropriate, and this will be the opportunity for you to address the commission about the agenda item at hand. And if you will, please keep your time to talk to 5 minutes. The public hearing is not a Q&A, so after the public hearing is closed, the staff will have the opportunity to answer any questions and respond to any issues brought up during the public hearing. And then at that time, the representative will have an opportunity to speak with commissioners and for motions, discussions, and a vote. Our role and responsibility related to subdivision plats. By Alabama statute, we are the final approval authority for subdivision plats, but understand that we must confirm that they meet and exceed specific requirements of the city zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. If we could have roll call, please.
Dana Camp,
Here.
Nonette Reese,
Here.
Vanessa Eccles,
Here.
Jennifer Loveren,
Here.
Joseph Astrup,
Here.
Theo Chancellor,
Here.
Jennifer Stevens,
Here.
Oscar Mosley,
Here.
Walker Davis.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open citizens' communication. This is a chance during the meeting if you'd like to come forward and speak to us on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. I'll open that at this time. Seeing no one, will close citizens' communication. We do not have any old business, is that correct? For the consent agenda, commissioners, is there an item that needs to be removed from consent and agenda before moving forward?
Yeah,
About final plat, Auburn
Number one.
Farms, Phase 1.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Number one.
I guess I wanted to talk about the consent agenda.
Perfect.
All right, so we got. So I know we talked about it on Monday, just about the final plat, and I think kind of the outstanding comments they had, kind of from GIS. They were able to work with GIS and the planner assigned to the case, and they got them down to 6 comments. So I guess kind of I just wanted to interject that before y'all pulled it off consent. So I think we're in a much better place just kind of moving forward, just kind of with it from a final plat standpoint. And I guess they got that resolved on Tuesday and Wednesday, pretty much. So that was in between the packet meeting and tonight. But I just want to let y'all know before y'all pulled it off. So
No,
It was-
it wasn't a motion, it was that's
I'll
what we
move to
talked.
approve the consent agenda, including the minutes, packet meeting minutes and regular minutes from April.
Second.
Sorry, it's actually May.
Sorry.
I have a motion and a second, so actually May agenda for
Yeah,
packet and
that's right.
regular.
Yeah, it's
so-
a typo, it's May.
So that's the consent agenda.
I have a motion and a second, though. Do we need to amend it, or can he change his?
yeah, just let them change the motion. So
Okay, so I'll move to approve the consent agenda to include the minutes for the packet meeting and the regular meeting, May, at Planning Commission meetings.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving to new business.
yeah. All right. So I know for these public hearings, I think at the end y'all always ask just kind of about if we got any feedback from neighbors or any questions or anything, and we did. All of those questions are kind of need to be answered by the applicant, though. So when Chris gets done with his presentation, then once you guys can open to the public, once Chris gets done with his presentation, I'll let you guys know what those questions are. Like I said, a lot of them, they don't really have to do with anything from a technical staff level. A lot of them have to do with the design of the site and the development of the site. And so, like I said, those are questions for the applicant.
All right.
with that, our first item on new business is, this is a request from Leithart and Cadre Engineering. The applicant is requesting preliminary plat approval for a 39-lot performance subdivision. The property is located at 330 East Longleaf Drive and is split-zoned Comprehensive Development District, CDD, and Development District Housing, DDH. You can see here, this is the proximity map. As it said, it is split-zoned. The majority of it, though, is DDH, so that would be the ruling thing. But for short-term rentals, you would have these lots in the front in CDD for short-term rentals. Those would be allowed. All right, so the applicant is proposing to construct 37 townhome lots and provide 2 open space lots. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions. With future phases of this development, we are going to require connectivity to the southern roads. And this does not warrant a traffic study. There is not enough units to warrant one yet. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Or representative? Okay, will you please come forward since we have questions we already know?
Yeah. All right. So we got an email from a property owner who wasn't able to make it tonight, but they sent me questions yesterday. So it's just a list of 4 questions. And I guess so. For the is there a required landscape buffer, tree preservation area, or other protected buffer along the north property line adjacent to lots 32, 33? They want to know about a landscape plan, just and if it's been submitted, pretty much kind of what y'all's plans are for that. And then what is the design of the townhomes? Are they going to be 1 or 2-story? And then the existing trees, wooded area along the north property boundary proposed to remain, or may they be removed during the development?
You just want me to go or?
And so I guess you can't really see kind of on the screen. You'd have to zoom in. So there's lot 33 and lot 32 are towards the entrance, and it's kind of the oblong, kind of like the larger ones that back up to those other properties, pretty much.
You may have to help me as I go to remind me what all those questions are.
Yeah, so first one, just any protected buffer plans kind of along lots 32 and 33.
Okay. Good evening, by the way.
Good evening.
I guess part of the question was, is a buffer going to be required? Correct? That was the first part of the question.
Yeah, it's the first part.
So that's going to be more of a you answer, right?
Yeah, but I guess kind of from a design standpoint, I guess what's the
No landscape plan has been developed at this point, just because we're at the plat stage. That will be developed as part of the, permit submittal. Once we get to that point, we're going to meet all the standard city requirements. I believe this section of Longleaf is classified as a corridor, so we'll have to meet, there's some landscaping requirements associated with that, as well as building materials that all y'all are very familiar with. So we're looking for a clean frontage that would have some landscaping associated to it. I can't speak to exactly what that's going to look like, but based on the topography, and this will kind of go to the clearing question, I think, later on. Based on the topography of what's out there, there's a fair amount of elevation change from the road back to the large creek that we are stopping at before we get to. So I would say it's probably unlikely that we will maintain existing vegetation across the street frontage. We're probably going to do it with landscaping. That would be my guess at this level of development of the design. There's some mature trees back in there, especially when you get closer to the creek. There's not a lot of big trees up by the street frontage. It's not scrubby by any means. I think it's been mulched recently, so it looks pretty clean through there now. But no, I imagine we're probably just going to handle that with landscaping.
And the buffer between 33 and 32 in the north.
Yeah, on the north.
Yeah, on the north going towards those houses.
The homes, yeah.
We'll meet the city's buffer requirements. But as far as whether or not it's going to be existing or if we're going to plant it, I imagine it's probably going to be a combination of both. I don't know that we have that answer right this second. Just because
Can I ask, where's parking going to be?
for
In front or behind?
They'll have garages, so there'll be, I believe there are 2-car garages
In the front?
in the front. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, no rear access on these.
Okay,
No, ma'am.
that's what I was asking.
They're going to be, and if y'all have been down there recently, this is the third phase of this development, and they're going to be very similar units to the
Okay.
first 2 phases. So those are all
Familiar.
front-loaded
Okay.
parking. I feel like I'm missing one.
Yeah, so I think the other question was 1-story, 1-story, 2-story units.
They're going to be 2-story.
Alright.
Like I said, same thing they've got going out there
Okay.
now.
Streetscape style, same.
Yes, correct.
Okay, while the representative is here, do you have any questions before I open the public hearing? Okay,
If you come up with something, let me know.
We'll see you
Happy
back.
to answer you. Thank you.
okay. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing for Parker Creek Townhomes Phase C. If you would come forward, and please sign in afterwards. We'll open that now.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Craig Barnes. Could you go to the previous screen? I can show you exactly. So at the cul-de-sac there, the very top lot on that cul-de-sac coming down Oak Hill Court, that's my property, 1556 Oak Hill Court. So the very corner of that pin to this property that we're reviewing tonight is also my pin coming back south my property. So the questions that I would have would be about the current stormwater levels. There's a small stream runoff in that area. Obviously, recently, my property was underwater. It's backed up the whole length, then down to the gas line. There's a small culvert to gas line. I believe it's undersized, majorly undersized. This water went up and over top of the gas line. It comes down because of the volume that we had this week. So my concerns would be around this water backing up even more so with this property. What is the plan? I know there's a retention pond in the design. Is that going to help to buffer the existing? I think also the plants, the trees. I know you were talking about the vegetation up towards the main road of Longleaf. I'd be concerned about the vegetation, those mature trees he was referring to down along that stream. I saw in another drawing there is a green zone. So is that green zone going to exist? Do the trees become something that's untouched? The current trees that's there now, that's right off of that stream. And I think that's it for me. Thank you. I already signed in. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come forward.
Thanks for this opportunity. It's interesting because on this plat north.
Your name and address.
My name is Melissa Hurt. I own rental properties that are adjacent to this.
But where do you really live? I mean, you're full-time residence.
Yes, I am, yeah. I live on Lily Lane in Town Creek. The other drawing from the developer had north turned to the left, so when he was talking about to the north, I was very confused. I think he was talking about to the east of this property. But I own the property, the green property, on the corner of Kendall and East Longleaf, which is the first one there up against the back of this property. And I also own a property across the street from where the entrance to this property will be, so I have multiple interests in traffic and things like that. My main interest here, the CDD for those properties that are in the pink will not change due to this property, is that correct?
We will answer all the questions at the end of
Okay.
the public hearing, yes.
Because we have the right to short-term rentals in that pink zone, and the others down at the end of the cul-de-sac in the yellow don't have that right, so I would like to preserve that. As you can see from this drawing, those houses, the first two there on Kendall Court, or the back of the house, the bedrooms, are very close to this property line. So like the previous speaker, I'm very keen that there is a physical barrier, whether it's bushes, privacy fence, something that buffers these properties from this new development. And I would like to question again, he said they were 2-story, but some of those townhomes are actually 3. The garage is on the ground level and there's 2 floors above, so I'd like to know which is it. I'm also concerned about drainage, that nothing coming off of this property in those townhomes ends up on the lots there on Kendall Court. And I think that's my list.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Please sign in if you haven't.
I was first one on the list.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Joe Twardy. I live at 1564 Oak Hill Court, in the Oak Hill Court subdivision, just to the left of where Craig, he was up here talking. One question I've got a plat, I guess, similar to what y'all shown up here. That's the most unlegible plat I've ever seen in my life. Is there anything that you can see to where you can read and see what these legends are? You can't even determine what, I see the lots, et cetera. I see the green zone, some other things. I'd like to see a plat that I could read and understand. That's one question I've got. Another one, I see, I guess, not being able to see the legend, I see these dotted lines on both sides, if you will, of the green area. What are they? Is that a fence, or is that a elevation line? Just what is that? And of course, I'm curious too about the road to nowhere, where it stops. Just where is that going, and what kind of idea is going to be coming from that? But my biggest concern is, again, the same vegetation up and down that creek tree line. I know I'm a retired professional forester and have done BMPs all my life, and I think that they should certainly be followed. I would expect them to be followed extremely well, and the elevation was mentioned by the I guess the guy that's designing this stuff. There is a good drop off. The more severe the elevation, you should back off that creek further, and you should leave more vegetation on there. So anyway, those are several of my concerns, but I would definitely love to see a plat that I could read.
Thank you, sir.
I've signed in.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to come forward? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. And I think we have some questions. I'm sorry, I just closed the public hearing. Is it for this agenda item?
But is this for that 600 Shelton
No, no,
property? It's
no,
not.
sir.
I just want to make sure.
If you'll please come back up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the dotted line, we'll start easy.
Sure, okay. I believe the dotted line that was referenced in the gentleman's question, the two black, thicker black lines on either side of the creek, that represents the limits of the 100-year floodplain.
100-year floodplain, okay?
That's right. Yep, that's right.
The road, it's just to the next phase? of
The
this?
road is stubbed to the next phase, and actually the three lots that are planned north, so to the east, at the end, and I printed my print too small too, I couldn't read my numbers there, but the three
22,
at the
21,
end,
20.
correct, those
Yeah.
will not be built until a future phase is approved, and it's just gonna be a temporary cul-de-sac, similar to what they did on phase 2, I believe.
The two-story comment and question, is that just above ground? Or-
Yes, my understanding is they're two-story,
Okay.
period, planned for this phase.
Also, I saw the stormwater,
The stormwater
yeah, the
questions.
drainage, yeah.
There were several pieces of that we could get relatively detailed on that if we needed to, but I know one thing was mentioned about some backup relative to our monsoon we had Tuesday afternoon. I know pretty much everybody in town was affected by that. So I imagine that there was water pretty close to that black dashed line that's on that map at one point or another. It was a pretty severe storm. I can see it, backing up more so than what people are used to. And I imagine that's partly due to, we don't get storms like that all the time. I'll say this, this piece of property is downstream on that creek from the cul-de-sac to the east. And so the idea with this development, again, complying with all the engineering regulations and standards by the city of Auburn, will mitigate all of our stormwater on site prior to discharging into the creek, excuse me. And that will account for all of our, increase in impervious surfaces with the development, houses, roads, things like that. So that pond, it's just in blue right now on the plat, but once we get in design, it'll be sized and, sufficiently to hold all that water back, so that it's not creating adverse effects to adjacent properties.
And the other question I had, that someone mentioned was a fence, particularly on those homes on Kendall, I believe. I don't s-
Right here.
The buffer.
Related to the
Back of
buffer.
houses.
Yeah, the houses behind it where they have
Back to their
back
property
bedrooms.
line.
Yeah.
Close.
Sure. So the setbacks on this are gonna help that, number one. Number two, again, we would comply with any buffer requirements and screening requirements that are gonna be put on us by the zoning ordinance. I don't believe in this zoning, screen fencing is a hard and fast requirement. I will say that in the previous phases, the developer has chosen to put 6-foot privacy fences in several locations. So I imagine we're probably gonna be doing the same thing here.
Okay.
Couple of other things, the CDD zoning will not change up front, correct?
No, sir, we are not.
Asking for
We're not asking for.
That's right, we're
rezoning.
not proposing any rezoning. This is, we're doing this
And then
by right.
and then the trees along the creek, really particularly in the 100-year floodplain. I mean, no, that's not your property, or maybe it is.
So the 100-year floodplain,
Yeah.
to the extent that you can see it on the plat, are a part of this developer's property. The plan would be to, at some point in the future, should he choose to develop on the other side of the creek, which is where the road's going. We're not proposing any development within the 100-year floodplain. We're also going to be required to maintain the existing stream buffers, and that's city ordinance as well. So we're not right now, we're not proposing, I don't foresee any reason to propose impact to those stream buffers. There is also, and there was mention of the green hatch on the plat, and just for everybody's reference, that is the limits of a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers jurisdictional wetland. So we want to avoid, particularly with this phase, since we're not crossing the creek with a road, we want to avoid touching that at all costs because it's a pretty significant cost impact. So that's another reason to, beyond just maintaining the existing vegetation, to stay off of that.
So for the open space, is the intent that the open space is in that wetland flood area? Or where is that?
It is partly in the floodplain. Some of it's taken up by the pond, but the majority of it is on the south side near the creek.
And one other person asked the question about the traffic that in and out of where the townhomes are. What was it going to be, turn lanes or?
Me and Logan talk about turn lanes all the time.
Every day.
Yeah, we're showing a proposed right turn decel lane into the development with the new road connection along Leaf, and I believe we're also going to be required to have a left in, if I'm remembering correctly. So we're planning to do all that.
All right, thank you.
And then finally, a plat to be able, for someone to be able to read a little bit better.
Now, in my defense, when I drew this thing, it was on a 24-inch by 36-inch piece of paper. So if we need to bring some prints next time, we can do it. But I think that's part of the issue.
I do
But it's online. The plat is online as part of the packet.
That is
You can
correct.
zoom
It is online, and then you can
And
zoom
blow it
in.
up.
Yes.
Yeah, you can zoom accordingly.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that one. I forgot about that. Okay,
That's all I think I have right in this
Okay,
second. Do you have
perfect.
anything else? Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. I do have one question that might be helpful from a staffer. This is preliminary plat. a lot of these questions that we say we don't know the answers to right now would be dealt with prior to any final approval.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so a lot of those details as far as like drainage, traffic flow, all those different things, buffer yards, if they're going to be required to have a fence, and like I said, I think kind of the land use intensity of a twin home for the existing twin homes to the townhomes isn't probably going to require like a type 2, type 3 fence. Those are pretty heavy duty when there's a massive difference between what the proposed uses are. So yeah, a lot of those things get hammered out in DRT, and those things would be on the final plat where you guys get those details, those reports. So just kind of the development, the DRT reports that are also in the packet online that people can search.
Yes.
So.
So if we wanted to dictate some type of barrier there, could we do it right now, or would it be best to do it later?
I guess like you could do that now, and I guess this is I would say normally, like with this not being a conditional use, like a conditional use, like where the uses are in question, where like the buffer yards and all those things are really going to impact it, I think that would probably be more appropriate. But I think on this, like just like a preliminary plat, if y'all had questions about turn lanes or access or anything, I think that would probably be appropriate. But I think, like I said, I think the buffer
Right now,
situation.
we just don't know enough.
Right.
Okay, commissioners, unless you have any more discussion, please make a motion.
Move to approve case PP 2026-006.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Canterbury.
Canterbury preliminary plat. Action requested preliminary plat approval for 14 lot performance subdivision. Ogletree Road. Should we go to the next one? All right. So this is. All right. The 14 lot performance residential developments, 11 single family detached lots, and 1 open space lot. Discounted the 2 open space lots on the ROS because like currently they don't meet the minimum. Can you go to the next slide, please? Oh, we didn't add it. There we go. All right, cool. Okay, so as you guys can see, there are the 11 single-family detached lots, and there's the open space lots, and there's also the detention pond as a part of this. And so this is on Ogletree Road. Ogletree Road is an arterial, like we talked about in the staff report. So from a future land use standpoint, neighborhood preservation really kind of looks at density, character, and so I think character is really kind of one of those amorphous terms, really kind of looking at lot size, tree coverage, et cetera, types of houses, types of uses, really kind of matching the character. Single family house is in line kind of with that from a usage standpoint, but the lot sizes are a lot smaller than the surrounding area. So there's a lot of half acres that are kind of round, and then kind of to the subdivision to the north and kind of in the interior of that's where those smaller lots are, about 7,000, 8,000 square feet. I think the biggest lot in this one is just kind of roughly 5,500. So then there are the 2 waivers associated with it, and I kind of want to clarify one of the items on this. So there was the waiver to Article 4, Section B. If the adjacent property is developed in the right-of-way of a street to be continued shall be extended to the property line. So they wanted a waiver to not extend to the southern property line that staff has requested. And then I guess I want to provide clarity on the next waiver. So this was a waiver to Article 4, Section E4D. Subdividing off a private access drive is allowed for non-residential uses and all residential uses except single-family detached. So we had quite the conversation on this internally, just kind of with staff, but also with the applicant. They are not trying to subdivide off of a private street. They would subdivide off of a private street if it would assuage any concerns. That's not really a concern that we have. So they are requesting really to subdivide off of a 30-foot alleyway. And so that is a right-of-way thing. So instead of having to dedicate a 50-foot right-of-way, they would like to do a 30-foot public alley. I think on the staff side, I don't think we talked about it internally. I think we'd be amenable to that from having a 30-foot right-of-way to the alley to give them the ability to do that. I think the thing to pay attention to, the thing that undergirds all of this, if there is no connectivity to the south, we would not support this. So pretty much, and so the staff's position would be And I'll go over the conditions. But as far as the waivers are concerned, the waiver to subdivide off of a 30-foot alley in this scenario, not an issue for us. If to grant the waiver and to allow them to not connect to the southern boundary, that would be an issue for us, and we would not support the subdivision. So,
Is a 30-foot alley okay if they connect to just size of road and right of way, if they connect?
yes, and like I said, I think kind of like this is a really particular situation where the goal of this is to maintain the capacity of Ogletree and get those accesses. That way we're not getting a bunch of driveways on Ogletree, and in the future for the southern property, as if it redevelops, those people ever decide to sell, that way we can get access off of a public right-of-way, and we can get accesses off of Ogletree. So that's just kind of want to address that portion with the
Isn't there
the
a
waiver.
open space issue
Yeah.
too on this?
Yeah. So we go to
They don't meet the requirement.
They do not, and so that is to the. I guess can you zoom in on the map so people can kind of see? So it's to the right, yeah, all the way to the very front by the road. Okay, so that's not really legible, but those two. So it's those two rectangular lots. Open space does have a minimum lot size requirement, so it's 7,500 square feet. I think they said that they are open to just rearranging it. So that's really kind of a geometry thing, like where they need to solve it, where that'd be fine being a condition where that's why it is a condition where they do need to meet it. They do need to amend that to make that happen. But I guess kind of really, like I said, the discussion is really on, size of the lots, does that kind of match the surrounding area? The subdivision, like I said, I think a lot of things are compliant. It's just kind of those nuances and things that we would support. So with the two waivers, to subdivide off of a public alley, that was 30 feet of right-of-way instead of 50 feet of right-of-way, we would be supportive of. We would not be supportive of granting the waiver for them to not connect to the south.
When you say not connect to the south, where are we talking about on this map?
Right, so if you could zoom back out, please. And I guess really just go back to the prox map. Yeah.
Yeah, the prox map.
Yeah. Okay, so pretty much if you follow all the way down kind of from the hatched area, that's the current property that we're talking about, where it's LDD zoning and then rural zoning, there is an intersection of Ogletree and Old Country Road, where what we would like, I guess, would be a public alley of 30 feet, either 50 feet of right of way, that would then go through this and then serve as that connection for Old Country Road that would then allow for rear access and people not taking access off of Ogletree Road. Just because what we eventually run into when people subdivide these bigger properties on arterials is that the driveway spacing makes it impossible for them to subdivide and realize the maximum potential of their site. So even though performance subdivisions are an option for people, 50 foot lot minimums and those are lot width minimums, they can't meet because the driveway spacing on our arterial is like 350 feet. And so you can see the conflicts.
So for them to satisfy this requirement, they have to go directly south then.
Right, and so I guess
Played to Old-
yes, no. So if you can go to the plat, if you can go back to the plat. All right, so you see how it just kind of dead ends into that open space. What would need to happen is that the road would need to be extended, and whatever that lot number is, I can probably see it on the paper. But the lot furthest to the left is lot 11. Yeah, so what needs to happen is the road needs to extend down through lot 11 to the southern property line. That's it.
Dive to the south.
Correct. That's it. That's the only thing that we would require. And so, like I said, the solutions here are really a geometry thing, and that I think we can satisfy with conditions. I guess staff's position would just be support of the waiver to subdivide off the public 30-foot alley, which is that second waiver. Staff does not support the waiver to deny connectivity to the south.
So that, I still want to make sure I understand one thing on this 30 to, the alleyway. Is that going to be the connection to the south?
Yeah, and Yeah.
Connectivity, doesn't it need to be a regular sized road, the 50-foot road, or
Well-
we're saying it's okay with the 30-foot alleyway to make that connectivity?
Yeah, and so this wouldn't be so that road connection isn't on a major street plan. There's no I guess like roads do have a set right away that they are required to make, but this would be more of I guess Michael calls them capacity improvement plans, where you reduce access on arterials or collectors and force them to a side street. So that's what this would be. And so access they would still have access to Ogletree or access to subdivide from Ogletree, but they would just be taking vehicular access off of these side streets. And it's not like like in our staff reports where there's some major street plan implications. There is no major street plan. Like I said, this is more so an access management as a part of preliminary plats and kind of making sure access doesn't get wonky on our arterials and collectors.
So let me ask you this. Is this okay for public safety?
I can chime in on a couple details. So the pavement width for an alley is 20 feet. The pavement width for a regular street is 24 feet.
Okay.
So it's not that much of a difference.
But it's got a right of way of 50 though.
But the right of way is bigger, yes. In this case, from our standpoint, the 30-foot right of way is sufficient for the amount of traffic, utilities, things like that would be generated for a development of this size.
And that's okay for connectivity. That's what I want to try to understand.
For
If that's-
low, what we would view as fairly low intensity development, a 20-foot pavement can work. You see it all the time in multifamily developments, things like that. So the pavement width itself here is not a huge concern.
Yeah, and I think kind of also to the point, there isn't going to be, like, it's not like this is going to be upzone and all of a sudden there's going to be like 50 townhomes all taking access off this road. Like, that's not going to happen. Like what we would envision, if there ever was redevelopment of properties to the south, it would probably be for a modest amount of single family homes. And so that's what we're talking about, something that would never amount to the 70 threshold for a traffic study that would then warrant the creation of a bigger road where this really wouldn't be sufficient. And like I said, I think the road that carries all the traffic is Ogletree, and that's one that we want to protect, kind of the vehicular ingress and egress out of. So,
Are there any other conditions of importance?
yeah. So I guess there are the general good bit of staff comments, nothing backbreaking. I think the main condition of the platted open space must meet or exceed the required minimum open space for performance subdivision and LDD. Like I said, talk to the applicant about it. They think they can, once they slide the lots, kind of get rid of those lot 101 and lot 102 for open space. They think they can meet it because the other lot is compliant. I guess kind of what they've dedicated is just those, from our subdivision standards, this would not meet. And so they do think that they would meet it. And so that's why it needs to be a condition that actually needs to be met in the DRT process.
Okay, any other questions before
And the,
open the public hearing?
and the connectivity is not an issue then?
No, so do not grant that waiver. This is
grant that
what I
waiver.
am saying.
Grant that.
Yes.
Okay, you're not granting the waiver. Okay, so.
Okay, this does require a public hearing, and we will break up the preliminary plat and each waiver separately to vote on.
Yeah, and I would say vote on the waivers first before the preliminary plat.
Okay,
Got it.
all right, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for Canterbury subdivision. If anybody would like to come forward and speak about this item.
Hi,
Hi.
good evening. My name is Josh Mira. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'm with Sanford Group.
Okay.
Yes, happy to answer any questions that y'all may have about the project as well. But we're good to comply with the city's request to provide a stub to the south. So we're happy to adjust the plan in the DRT process so that we're making sure that that stub is shown as the city is requesting it. So just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come forward? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners, waivers first.
Start by saying, move to. The
So,
Or
be,
go
so,
with
so the
stuff
motion,
out.
so it'd be motion to approve waiver to Article 4, Section B.
We'll make it that, okay.
Okay, so
And that's the access to the south. The connectivity. I'm looking at the one that talked about not having connectivity. I want to make sure.
Correct. Yeah. And so that's the waiver for Article 4, Section B.
Okay.
The south
Yep.
thing, okay.
So I move to approve the waiver to Article 4, Section B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the waiver. So vote accordingly. All those in favor? Okay, all right, we'll do roll call.
Nanette Reese,
No.
Dana Camp,
No.
Phil Chancellor,
No?
Jennifer Lovering,
no,
Vanessa Eccles, No. Joseph Astrup,
No.
Jennifer Stevens,
no.
Oscar Mosley,
No.
Walker Davis.
Okay, thank you, you're welcome.
Somebody else do the rest.
Okay,
I make a motion
go ahead.
to approve waiver to Article 4, Section E4D for case PP 2026-007.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to
A little
approve.
discussion first.
Oh,
Yes.
Want to make
Need
sure
more
where
discussion,
we're
okay.
going with that one.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I know that it reads subdivided off for private access drive is allowed for non-residential uses and all residential uses except single-family detached. So I guess when we've referenced these and kind of what these motions are, what's been referenced kind of on the enforcement side is kind of what the actual the discussion is. Like I said, applicant called to clarify what they are requesting is to subdivide off of a public alley, whether it be private or not. I guess hold on. Let me think through this, because I guess like
Yeah.
they were thinking through if it was going to be a private access drive, then they'd be fine to subdivide off of it, and I think it was just kind of a preference for us. That might be a question, or I guess you guys need to ask the applicant from a design standpoint if they think they still need the waiver for the second one, and then if they don't need the waiver for the second one, then y'all can deny that one too, or you can grant it. So.
Applicant, will you please come forward? Do you feel like you still need the waiver to subdivide off private access?
No, I just wanted to clarify though, does the waiver that we submitted to subdivide single-family detached lots off a public alley, is that what's being voted on
All
here?
right. Yeah.
It just needs to be a waiver to subdivide off of a public right-of-way.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So it's not necessary in this case for single-family detached off an alley? I just want to.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, all right. So, voting on this kind of as is fine. Like I said, I think the verbiage wouldn't change. It was just I think the intent is kind of what we got crossed on, and I think like what we talked about and got on the same page kind of earlier in the week. So yeah. So approving this does not grant them the ability to subdivide off of private streets. What it grants them is the ability to subdivide off of a public alley instead of a public right of way, which is going to be the alley in this situation.
Wouldn't it be clearer just to articulate it in the waiver as that versus what it says right
Yeah.
now is not?
Is it in the same article?
Yeah.
What you're saying now versus the private
Yeah.
drive?
Yes, and we're kind of back and forth on this with the staff, just trying to figure out what was better. I know in the past, the stance of the city was, sometimes they don't want the alleys to be public because they don't want to take maintenance of it. And so there was just a lot of discussions back and forth on our end of, do you prefer it to be private? We were potentially thinking we might do something unique with the alley, but we kind of landed on the conclusion that the city would prefer the alley to be public. And so that's our stance. We just want to be in conformity to what the city staff is requesting. And I think in order to do that, we had to submit a waiver that allows us to have single-family detached lots off of a public
Right,
alley.
it was twofold, right?
Yes, yes.
So vote no, would that prevent them from doing?
Yes, that is correct. You want to vote yes.
A yes vote if you want to allow them to.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yep, it's the same.
Okay, great. We don't have to change the motion.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I have a motion and a second to approve the waiver of, to Article 4, Section E4D, to subdivide off of a 30-foot public alley and for single-family detached.
So I think what we should amend the motion to really just section 4 and then take off D. So yeah, just take off D. So where it is in our subdivision regs, section 4 is a lot to abut a street. Under it is an alley, either public right of way, may not be used as a means to meet any lot frontage requirements contained in these regulations. They are getting a waiver to that, and it's not.
Not section.
Yeah, it doesn't have a letter associated with it.
Okay.
Moving the D.
Would you like for me to read?
Yeah, so if you just want to amend it, like I said, so waiver to Article 4, Section E4 is enough. Just leave off D.
Got it. I need an amended motion, please.
I'd like to make an amended motion to approve waiver to Article 4, Section E4 for case PP 2026-007.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of waiver, Article 4, Section E4. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you. Now we need to vote on the original motion, please. Original motion was to approve waiver to Article 4, Section E4D. I have a motion and second on that, and all those in favor? Any opposed?
Do you have a question, Walker?
Were you adding the condition?
We're not to preliminary plat
Yeah,
yet.
we're not, yeah, we didn't get that for you.
I'm back to the original amendment, the unamended motion that we need to vote on, that we need to deny.
Yes.
So, motion and a second to approve waiver to Article 4, Section E4D.
Make a motion to approve waiver.
We have a motion and a
We
second.
have-
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Vote on it.
Okay.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's denied. The original amendment is. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right, now.
All right, great. Now, both waivers, now preliminary plat.
Make a motion, move to approve case PP 2026-007 preliminary plat Canterbury subdivision.
Second.
With conditions.
With conditions.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening.
Evening.
Your next case before you is for revised preliminary plat approval for a performance residential development at 8-lot townhouse subdivision located just to the west of us at 337 East Magnolia in the Urban Neighborhood East zoning district. The commission approved a preliminary plat in December of 2024 for a 7-lot townhouse subdivision. And since then, the applicant is just coming back to add one additional lot.
Yeah.
These lots will take access from a private access drive off of Magnolia. The zoning allows 85 beds an acre, and for the lot size, this would permit 50 beds. Each unit here will have 3 bedrooms, so 24 beds. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This Old Road Townhomes does require a public hearing. If you'd like to come forward at this time, speak about this agenda item, please do so.
Lee Tharp, Cadre Engineering for the applicant. Ryan's not here, but I just wanted y'all to know that if you had any questions, feel free to ask. I think like Amber mentioned, we've been through this once. We did DRT on a previous version of it, going back through it. So, again, any questions you have, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions, motions, discussions?
I'll make a motion to approve case PP 2026-008.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, so these next two cases are associated with the PUD. So there's the rezoning from the South College Corridor District to Comprehensive Development District, and then there's the rezoning from the CDD to a PUD. The overall project is mixed-use development. There's commercial on the bottom, and then residential units up top. And so I just wanted to let y'all know, just kind of at the outset. So you'll hear details about the project and the PUD presentation. If you have any reservations about the PUD, then I would now would be the time to vote against it. So.
Okay.
All right, this is a request to rezone approximately 1.15 acres from South College Corridor District to Comprehensive Development District. The property is located at 1117 South Donahue Drive. This is a precursor to the PUD request, which will be a mixed-use development with first floor commercial and 15 for-sale residential condominiums. I can answer any questions if you have them about this rezoning.
Thank you.
I guess it's probably the only thing to add on this. When this was rezoned, and talk about it in the PUD stuff, but just before y'all vote to rezone this was initially rezoned SCCD when this property was one parcel, all the parcels around there. And now it's been subdivided. And so the intent of that was to preserve the hard corners for commercial. What was happening was there was a run on student housing on these hard corners, and they were not going to be for commercial uses. So the city rezoned all those properties to SCCD, and in SCCD, residential uses are not allowed. Period. But had it been subdivided like this back when that happened, this property probably not would have been ensnared in that rezoning, that city-led initiative. So I just want to provide that context of that is how this property and surrounding properties became SCCD, and that is why there is comfort with moving forward with the CDD requests here.
I would like to add that personally, we need to look at these together. Like if you don't feel comfortable with this PUD, then don't feel comfortable with the CDD. Okay, at this time, I would like to open the public hearing for the rezoning of the Lexington. If you would like to come forward at this time to speak about this agenda item.
Brett Basquin, representing the applicant. Happy to answer any questions. The only difference between SCCD and CDD is residential use. That's the only difference.
Right.
Unfortunately, our current zoning ordinance really doesn't contemplate mixed-use development. So back when this SCCD was being done, really there was really no real mixed-use development in town. The use of commercial on the first and residential above is a more prominent development type that we tend to see in places, and it would be a good use all around the city here. It's just you really can't do it because the way we're having to do it is go to the PUD route. So, but happy to answer any questions. So,
Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve case RZ 2026-004, the Lexington to CDD.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. Action requested, recommendation of the city council to apply the plan unit development designation to approximately 1.5 acres. All right. So this is a mixed-use development. I think kind of the past PUDs that have come through here have been so vastly different. We've had the one that had 2,400 units. We had the other one that had 10 units. And now we have this one that's on 1.15 acres. And so the other two were hundreds of acres, massive. This is not that. This is really just kind of urban infill, very simple from the incentives and exchanges. And so if you want to go to the next slide. Yeah, there we go. So pretty much, like I said, there's not that much really on the bone, kind of like there were on the other ones, where there were a whole litany of uses, bulk regulations, all those different things. With this one, really kind of the focus was, we had several pre-apps here, but things that really were not going to be, what we intended, kind of highest and best use kind of deal. So the PUD was utilized to get us a project that could deliver 5,000 square feet of commercial, and then with 15 condo units above it. And so one of the emphasis of that was elevated architectural standards. So this is a little beyond the 429. So 429 does allow cementitious siding, hardy board, some things like that. So some of the things that you see, this is brick, no ephes, all those kind of punched windows, kind of got some depth. This would be something that could almost be in some of our urban neighborhoods, kind of from the quality of design that it is to it. And then there's the beefed up landscape plan that they kind of provided that they'll be that they'll be compliant with, and so they'll put a sidewalk on the. As these are all just like the renderings of the building, but there'll be a sidewalk on, I guess, what is the north side of it, kind of on their private egress. Then they'll also be putting a 5-foot sidewalk along Donahue, even though there is a multi-use path across the street on the other side of Donahue. I think the real discussion with this one is going to be the proposed uses. So initially they did request all the uses in SCCD. And I guess for everybody who doesn't deal with our zoning ordinance a whole lot, our zoning ordinance does not do commercial development very well. You have two options. It's SCCD or CDD, unless you're downtown. Everywhere else, but CDD, single family housing permitted by right, and then we're kind of back where we started with the problems of, hard corners not being preserved for commercial. So they requested all the uses in SCCD. I just kind of wanted to go over what the uses were. And so we limmed these up pretty good, just kind of from what we envision here, and also there's really only two spaces. So there's a barbershop, beauty shop, book, hobby, music, sporting goods store, brew pub, florist, general merchandise store, health and personal care store, stationary gift stores, professional studios, restaurant, specialty food stores, ATMs, convenience stores, small grocery, less than 3,000 square feet, no fuel, mobile vendor, food court. There's a condition associated with that one. Medical office, private libraries, museum, billiards, short-term, non-primary rentals, and multiple unit development. So the condition associated with the mobile vendor food court. So this would be like, it's not going to be like a permanent home for this. This is going to be like if they were having come out this Tuesday, come out this Saturday, we're going to have mobile food trucks out here. That would be allowed. Instead of having to go through the rigmarole again, they would just have to set it up, go through the proper channels, and they could have that as a use. This is not intended to allow it to be a permanent home for those, and that is mentioned in the condition, and that's why it is a condition. So those were the uses that we felt were prominent. Sent that to the applicant, and they were accepting of that, and I think they think this is something that they can work within the confines of. So really excited for this. Like I said, I think utilizing the PUD to get urban infill. Like I said, that was one of the goals. One of the issues with the PDD is that it has a 10-acre lot minimum versus this has no acre lot minimum, and that's why, so we can utilize it in these scenarios for urban infill projects. So with that, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Do the parking requirements change because it's residential and commercial?
Yeah, so the parking requirements were blended a little bit down to, I guess, kind of what it ends up working out to. They did end up doing on square footage. And so they're still parking at about 1 per bedroom instead of the 1.1. And then it's down to 277, which I think normally is 400. But I think the goal with some of the PUDs, even this one, like I said, there's just not a lot here. It's still kind of get innovative design, but really kind of from a site plan standpoint, it made sense for them for the design that they had. So the parking did change slightly, but it wasn't one where they got a massive reduction of like 0.5 or like something like that.
Sure.
And like I said, that was done for the beefed up landscaping plan that we wanted. So.
Hearing. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the Lexington PUD. If anyone would like to speak on this agenda item, please come forward. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing.
Move to approve case RZ 2026-013, the Lexington PUD.
Second.
With conditions.
Condition, excuse me.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Lexington PUD. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, so this is a rezoning request from West Thrash and Foresight Group LLC. The applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 9.92 acres from Development District Housing, or DDH, to CDD Comprehensive Development District. The property is located at 1415 Sarah Lane. So, as you can see here, this road is North Donahue as you're headed north. Property outlined is DDH. We have another rezoning request coming up right after this for the little green rural parcel as here. But also there's a future land use map. The future land use map does show this as low-density residential. We can talk about that a little bit more later. But the applicant is proposing to add 12 townhome units to an already existing development of 33 units. The request to CDD will allow 3-bed, 3-bath units. Well, otherwise, DDH couldn't have that, can only have 2-bed, 2-bath. The site has been partially developed, as already discussed, so this does not generate enough new units to warrant a traffic study. I do understand that rezoning this to CDD will raise the max density to 9.5 dwelling units an acre. We can talk a little bit more about that if y'all have questions. But other than that, here for y'all.
Usually this one and 2 more are all on the same property.
Yes,
Project.
well, 2 parcels entirely, but yes, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, PDD.
I guess I did want to correct something. So DDH structures can't have greater than 2-bed, 2-bath. They just can't be occupied by greater than 2 unrelated. And so that's the clarification. So the existing ones that are out there are all 3-bed, 3-bath. They just are under the family definition. So
They are?
they are, yeah. The ones currently are.
DDH is family,
Yep, that's correct. And CDD is not.
and CDD,
2 unrelated.
yeah, and CDD is not.
No more than 5 unrelated.
No more than 5 unrelated. And DDH carries with it no short-term rentals.
Yep, that's also correct.
CDD does.
Yep.
Okay, any questions additional questions before I open the public hearing?
Well, so, wait a minute. Well, you gonna?
No, I mean, you have questions prior to public hearing.
So, to me, this looks a lot like spot zoning. I'm not sure I understand how, do we have any kind of information on that? Because it's a completely different, if this gets approved, this is gonna be a completely different environment surrounded by, the single-family definition sort of properties.
Yeah.
So maybe that sounds like
Literally
spot
talked
zoning.
about that at
Yeah, so I think
It's illegal in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, so the caveat, I guess, like when we had the initial conversation around it, with them proposing, I guess that's kind of why they're proposing a PDD over it, so they restrict the density with it. I think the unique thing kind of about this property, even though there's the section in the bottom right, that quadrant is vacant. It's not noted for future development because it cannot be developed. Yeah. And so this is kind of the maximum development they can reach. So it's always going to be undeveloped. It's never going to reach like the 9.5. They'd have to develop it differently to kind of go there, but it'd also be a conditional use. So how they've done this is kind of this townhome style MUD situation, kind of adding this on. Like I said, I think the maximum density can't be achieved for really 2 reasons. It's bounded by floodplain and floodway. So floodplain you can build in, floodway you cannot. And then there is also bad soil. I think they found an old landfill that was also on the property that prevented any development. So I guess kind of from a I guess like the max density on all that things from a number of units standpoint, it probably never reached that. But I think the real question is kind of from the family definition of kind of what they're going for, and if there's going to be short-term rentals. I think that's the question.
So Justice, and
But what justifies that with those conditions? I mean, even with all that you just said, why would we change the?
can I offer a little clarity on that? I did talk to the legal earlier today about this, knowing it came up, and there was some discussion in the packet meeting earlier with legal counsel, and so basically where this sits is, we wouldn't be able to make the decision on whether or not it's spot zoning. The court would make that decision. His comment is, as he said on Monday, is this is a strong candidate. The reason it being that is it is, the request is not consistent with the land use plan, so they would need to come back and petition for some changes to the land use plan for it to be consistent with that. So I apologize. Pretty hectic day today, so I didn't get a chance to follow back up with Justice, but I did want to offer that following that conversation I had with legal.
Would the PDD help that? They would not. Okay.
Yeah. I guess that'd be something that'd be decided at the court level. But I think this was something that we were candid with the applicant about. Just kind of, this was always just going to be a decision of if there was an appetite to do this or not. I think kind of from a plans or anything standpoint, there's nothing really point to changing that way. DDH, I mean, does require conditional use for MUDs, which this did get, and it got 2 because they increased one of the units on the back end of it. But like I said, the substantial change would be from the up to 5 unrelated. This was one of the things that they talked about kind of for a while of kind of renting out to 3 separate people. So they're just, and I guess kind of when people do come in to ask us, I want to do this thing, we do let them know like, hey, great barrier that you have, but we do advise them of how they would achieve it. And so from what they did want to do and from what they did ask us and what they aspired to do, asking to rezone to CDD with a PDD would be the best way to do it. And that's what we told them to do.
So going PUD because it's already pre-developed would not have been enough.
That is correct. So that is a distinction in PUDs. We do not allow retroactive PUD applications. You are correct.
I just wonder what the problem is we're trying to resolve here. In terms of,
build it by right.
Yeah, they can build it by right, and it just, I don't know.
5 unrelated is the.
Right.
So they want to rent 2.
So they want to,
Right.
But they don't
So
want
it's
to, they don't need to rent
it's a
to
financial
5.
decision.
They can rent to families.
Well, historically, I believe that townhomes are probably more rentable by professionals, young professionals, than families. And so,
So it's not, so.
it's not typically families that rent. It's usually young professionals. And a lot of young professionals need a roommate.
What was the reason for rezoning? I see what the staff report says.
Right, so they can get up to 3 unrelated.
Okay.
And, I mean, they're over their density by 0.09. Low density residential, maximum of 4, they're at 4.09, so.
Okay.
Well, and so talk to me a little more about the land use plan, though. It's not compatible with that.
Yeah. And so, and so I guess kind of back to the low density residential. I said normally CDD is not compliant with that. But like I said, on this site, majority of the site is not developable. Like from a floodway standpoint, they'll never realize their max density. That's how they're only over from a 4.9 to like 4 kind of deal. But for the future land use plan, that is one of the mechanisms that we have considered that being associated when people do want to request some things that are not compliant or not congruent with the future land use plan, to have a review process of they can request, hey, I think the future land use plan should be looked at here. Staff can look at it and we'll say yay or nay. That's something that we haven't implemented yet, but that is something that we have talked about. So that might be something that could rectify this and make this palatable. But like I said, I think we were very candid with them about like this is really just kind of a decision of if there's an appetite to do this or not. Like I said, I think from our end, doesn't really change anything. If they want to do an expansion of MUDs, they can. If they want to do an expansion and rezone this to DDH, they could do that too. It'd all be a conditional use. Density might be a little different. There'd be a little less units since they with that last piece, but that's really it.
Because of the restrictions of the property, they meet the land use de facto.
Right. See, right. Like density and number of units isn't something to pay attention to on this one because of how much land is unbuildable. What is important is short-term rental, and I guess like the five unrelated. And so the five unrelated is something that they have mentioned is something that not necessarily something where they want to rent to students, where they want to rent to young professionals, where it's people in their mid to late 20s. They have roommates, they're not married. It's situations like that where they're running into problems and they're turning away people from signing leases because they don't want the city knocking on their door, pretty much. And so that is the reality of it. So, like I said, when people come in and ask us about what they want to do, we tell them here's the best way here's how you can do it.
And it's up to the city to decide ultimately.
Okay, so this is the first of three. This is to rezone the original development. Okay. If no other questions for staff at this point, I'll open the public hearing. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the rezoning of 1 Auburn, Walker Carlton CDD. If you'd like to speak on this, please come forward.
I wasn't going to speak, but I feel like I need to. I'm John Deal. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm with the developer. It's a great project. I don't know if y'all have seen the project, but what we're running into is just what you're saying. We've got young professionals that are looking for good, solid places that are kind of off from campus, and that's what this provides. It provides in that area that'll never be built, pickleball courts, golf, chip, putting, all those kind of things. Something to enhance young people. And what we're running into is there's 2 or 3. I mean, rent's not cheap. And we're, hitting a wall. We've got vacancies because we can't rent to 2 or more non-family members. And that's really the reason.
Thank you. Please sign in if you don't mind.
Brett Basquin with the Foresight Group. I'm representing John. But couple things. In regards to the short-term rental, we in our request, we only said 15% of the units would be used for short-term rental. You know what I mean? In our PDD request. So what we run into is we put the PDD in there for a couple things. One, it locks us down to the exact number of units. It locks us down to the exact layout. And then in regards to the way our zoning ordinance is set up, we only have 2 ends of the spectrum. You either have 2 unrelated or 5 unrelated. There's nothing in between. And so when we're stuck with 3-bedroom units and you have 3 people, as they mentioned, 3 unrelated people can't live there. So you run into a wall of that or run into issues if you do rent to 3 unrelated, then you have issues there. When we were having discussions, we were requesting, can we just do 3 unrelated as a request? But we've been told that essentially, from the city's perspective, it's either 2 or 5, there's no in between, okay? In regards to the land use map, the maximum density for the land use map says 4 units per acre. We're 4.09, okay? So we're only 0.09, it's not 0.9, it's 0.09 over. And that's the main reason why we are asking for the PDD on top of this. We understand with the use, there's concern that we could increase density or anything like that. The PDD caps that without us having to go through the whole exact rezoning process like we're doing now. But again, what's driving this is the family definition of 2 unrelated or 5 unrelated. So happy to answer any questions if you got any.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward? Okay, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
The first question that came to my mind as I was going through this is, does this meet the intent of the future land use plan? So by allowing the 3 unrelated, et cetera, all the way out to the PDD, do we still meet the low-density residential use, or are we?
Yeah, so kind of like Brett said, kind of from a number standpoint, the number is not really, it's not double, like it's not 9.5 that like CDD normally is. This isn't that, and so I guess kind of, but also what the city's legal stance is, kind of strong candidate for spot zoning, just kind of on its face with CDD.
Yeah.
But I just think kind of if you do the math on it, the raw math on it, it's not going to lead you to a place where it's saying 8 versus like 4, like it's 409 versus 4.
So, just to clarify, what is around this area that they're requesting is already built. It's already desirable. Is that what I
Yeah.
heard someone say?
So
It's just that they're not able to actually implement it because you can't have more than two unrelated.
yeah, and so they've been running. Like I said, they're candid about that. Just kind of in the meeting where we talked about this, that they're running into they want to rent to more than 2 unrelated. The only place in town where it's not in between is on the Foundry, where part of theirs is 3 unrelated. But this here is the townhomes that's are part of Woodward Oaks to the across the street there, and then you got Auburn Farms for the preliminary plat that you guys just approved. That's getting houses on it in short order, and then this is the old Miracle Road. So I mean, this area is under development pressure and is rapidly changing. But from a density standpoint, like I said, I mean the density from a numbers standpoint can't change that much because of the encumbrances on the property from the old soil to the floodway.
My point was, you're not changing.
Yeah, it's already
what's
developed.
around it. It's already developed in this
Already
manner.
developed.
So we're not changing anything there. We're just actually allowing them to use the property that they have in a way that is financially suitable.
That is one way to look at it. And it's kind of, like I said, this use was approved under DDH. And so, I mean, if they came back and they wanted to do the similar density, they'd have to lose a unit, but they could do the same use under DDH. And it's just the family definition and all those things.
That is correct. I will not be supporting this. I will vote no because it does not comply with the future land use plan. And that's why I asked the question Monday about spot zoning as well. Everything else around it is family designation. When you take away and you go to CDD, that is highly permissive. And as we all know, you can have more than 2 unrelated there. And as you said, they can still build that on here, but only 2 unrelated. And so I will not support this.
One more question. This is what the city suggested they do. Is that what you said?
So the city will, if you come to me and ask me a question about, here's what I'm trying to do, I will tell you the way to do it. Like from an agnostic point of view, like this is how you did it. So I wouldn't say to support, just more, if you wanted to rezone and get out of the 2 unrelated, you would request a rezone to CDD. So I would say our position on the staff side is always going to be a technical agnostic analysis.
In our future plans for the city, are there any plans to go to have a zoning that's anything between 2 and 5?
I imagine it will come up in the zoning rewrite, and I imagine it will be highly contested for the areas that do not want it. So I imagine it probably will be for the zoning rewrite. But yeah, like there will be some talking about that.
It should happen. Okay, commissioners, I need an active motion to move forward.
I make a motion to approve case RZ 2026-010.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Nanette Reese,
Yes.
Dana Camp,
No.
Bill Chancellor,
No.
Jennifer Lover,
Yes.
Vanessa Eccles, no. Joseph Astrup,
No.
Jennifer Stevens,
Yes.
Oscar Mosley,
No.
Walker Davis. 3 to 6.
Thank you.
All right, we still have two more cases regarding this. So this is request from Foresight Group LLC. The applicant is requesting to rezone approximately 1.09 acres from rural to CDD. Property is located at 1750 Miracle Road, highlighted in that little box. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, this is part of the same development, same low-density residential, so.
Okay, thank you. This does require a public hearing. Would like to open the public hearing for rezoning at this time.
If you mind go back to that zoning map, just so everybody knows, most of our surrounding properties is in the county. Right, the only piece that's south of us, the city owns, that is rural, was supposed to be the Blue Way, Greenway launch point. That is a park. The other green rural is across the street and across the stream and is the new high school.
Right.
So, you know, what we're surrounding with in regards to like changing the use, as you were talking about, or change that area, it's not like there's an established neighborhood. We're a one-way in, one-way out. Actually, our development is what basically was able to get Sarah Lane, actually was sitting defunct for about 8 to 10 years, and we were able to push to get the right-of-way dedicated. But, you know, in regards to, you know, the use side of that, the whole reason why we went the PDD route was to take the CDD off the table. But it's just, you know, our ordinance is limited in how you do it. But we are surrounded in county property. So we're not really, we're protecting the county. We're not protecting the city property.
Anyone else like to come forward? Okay, seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions? This is the separate lot.
Move to approve case RC 2026-011 on Auburn Dumas Lot CDD.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve one Auburn Dumas lot. Roll call, please.
Nanette Reese,
Yes.
Dana Camp,
No.
Theo Chancellor,
No.
Jennifer Loveren,
Yes.
Vanessa Eccles. No. Joseph Astrup,
No.
Jennifer Stevens,
Yes.
Oscar Mosley,
No.
Walker Davis.
No.
3-6.
Thank you.
All right, and lastly, this is a request to apply the Planned Development District overlay to approximately 11.01 acres. The properties are located at 1415 Sarah Lane and 1750 Miracle Road. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this point, the PDD overlay.
Yeah, so I guess kind of as a byproduct of kind of what we were talking about earlier with the PUD, this would have came through as a PDD before, and they probably would have tried to rezone it if they had control of all these properties at the time. But this property was, I think on the survey, man, it's like 9.92 without the addition of the Dumas lot. And so they were just under the PDD. So like I said, I think that was one of the reasons that we didn't have a lot minimum on it. The PDD, like I said, I mean, y'all have kind of voted just kind of where y'all are at, just kind of where I support. I would think of this PDD addition akin to the Wrightsmill Road, where we had those subdivisions down there, where I think there were 19 single-family houses proposed in a subdivision when the density from the rezoning would have been 55. And so they were proposing adding the PDD amendment to it, the PDD overlay to it, to cap all of their uses, strip themselves of, you know, all the other uses. So this was really not just, you know, unconstrained, like unmitigated CDD. This would have just been a MUD development that had the 5 unrelated kind of deal. So, like I said, the PDD was more used as a tool here, since this was really kind of their only option for stripping uses away from themselves to as a olive branch to the city.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. This also requires a public hearing, the rezoning of Kaiser 1 Auburn PDD. If anyone would like to come forward. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve case RZ 2026-012, One Auburn PDD.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Nanette Reese,
Yes.
Dana Camp,
No.
Bill Chancellor,
No.
Jennifer Loveren,
Yes.
Vanessa Eccles, no, Joseph Astrup,
No.
Jennifer Stevens, Oscar Mosley,
No.
Walker Davis,
No.
3-6.
Thank you.
See what the city was.
All right. This is a conditional use request for commercial and entertainment use, condotel to be located at 211 South Gay Street. The property is approximately 9,000 square feet, or 0.2 acres. Currently, it is single-family residence, and it serves as parking for the adjoining hotel property to the north. The applicant is proposing to construct an 11-unit condotel. Condotels are condominium projects where each unit is owned individually and are developed for short-term or transient occupancy and not as multifamily dwellings, long-term residence, or long-term rentals. The unit mix is 10 3-bedroom units and 1 4-bedroom unit that occupies the 5th floor. The maximum height in the UC zone is 75. Currently, the plan shows an 82-foot, 9-inch structure. We do allow a leniency of 4 to 6 feet on height for decorative parapet, plus anything for mechanical. Additionally, there is a waiver with this request for commercial uses, which condotels are considered commercial uses. We require 18 feet minimum ground story height. The applicant is proposing a 15-foot ground story height. The DDRC met last week to evaluate this. They are amenable to the waiver and are in favor of its approval. However, they will meet again through the DRT process should this move forward to address any more material issues or landscaping and exterior lighting. As mentioned previously, this lot is currently used as as extra parking or parking meeting the parking requirement for the hotel on the northern portion of this development. Condotels are parked at 2 spaces for 2 to 3 bedroom units and 3 spaces for 4 or more bedroom units. So there would be required 23 parking spaces for the condotel. Right now, the site plan, I'll go back to that, shows 20 fully stacked tandem parking spots with a note saying that 3 will be provided via an off-site lease. This does leave, with this development, this does leave only 19 spaces provided on the lot for the hotel itself. Looking at this development together as both the hotel and the condotel, 63 spaces would be required between both of them. The site plan, the 2 site plans combined show a total of 39 spaces, which is 24 shy of the requirement. There are a few staff recommended conditions on this. The first one is for access to guest rooms being limited exclusively to interior corridors, being accessed via the main lobby. No full-time residency should be permitted, and this should be written into the bylaws of the condotel. A functional entrance should be provided on the 1st floor fronting Gray Street, and any request to reduce parking requirements should be submitted in writing, meeting the standards set forth in section 513.04. I can answer any questions if you have them.
So my base question is, okay, so this is urban core?
Correct.
Yes, I thought we're in a moratorium on the urban core?
This
or
is a
this not?
commercial development.
This is
This
a
is not
commercial,
a multifamily residence.
Multifamilies are, okay, so this is, okay, gotcha.
My question is the parking.
Yes.
And is that going to be worked out in DRT or what?
So
What are we gonna do?
yeah, so they have submitted requests. So pretty much in the urban core, like you are allowed. So I guess there's 2 things in this district. You are allowed to have off-site parking.
Right.
also in our zoning ordinance, you can ask for a reduction of, if you're a commercial venture, you can ask for a reduction of parking. So I think I guess the applicant can speak to that, kind of what they requested. But it's kind of the extent of it.
And the hotel asked for a reduction already, right?
Yes, and so well, yeah, the applicant would be a lot better to probably explain that. But I guess the current house is used as a single family house, but a part of it is like they are used that real estate for parking. And so that parking going away, like I said, would have to be accounted for in the new site plan or whatever off-site parking agreement that they establish.
How far off-site is off-site parking?
Man, I do not have metrics. So I guess we don't have anything in the urban core and kind of urban neighborhoods. Really do have a lot more flexibility than other areas, like on Grand Junction on East Glen behind the Kroger. So over there, like Glen, kind of where the Methodist church is and all that. Off-site parking had to be immediately adjacent, and like Kroger was really a stretch because they don't really share property lines. But downtown, and especially kind of our hotels, and like I said, I think kind of the industry, I think especially, man, in bigger cities, I mean, they park cars, 20, 30 minutes away, but that's just not the reality here in Auburn. And so we have, I think the Graduate has off-site parking up on, Donahue and MLK. So I guess kind of if we use that as the starting point, that far, so I guess a couple miles really, but it's really it. And like I said, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's just the passive kind of what I've inherited, just kind of in this role, and I think we hadn't really made any decisions yet associated with it.
Okay, I have a question unrelated to parking. So this is a conditional use. So as a commercial development in the urban core, a condo-tel is not allowed by right. This is why it's here, right?
Right. Yeah. So condo-tels, hotels, motels are all conditional in urban core, and so urban core is required to go to DDRC. As he mentioned, DDRC was supportive of the waiver for the 18 feet to 15 feet, but the reason for that is that condo-tels are, by our ordinance, commercial, but by their use are residential uses. So they support it going down to 15 for that distinction alone. So future commercial entities will have to meet the 18 feet. But yeah, it is a commercial use, and that is why it's before you all.
Okay, and I don't see anything as a waiver. Is that in a different place?
No. It was just mentioned. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah, and so yeah, you would need to, if you guys decided to vote on this tonight, you guys would need to vote on the waiver first.
Thank you. Okay, if no more questions right now, I will open the public hearing for the collegiate condo-tel. If you would like to speak about this agenda item, please come forward.
Lee Tharp, cadre for the applicant. We can talk parking, I suppose. Several things that I wanted to point out. One thing related to parking, I know is a condition that Reed read earlier about if a waiver is requested. We submitted a waiver with this request, but I guess the way that read, I wasn't sure if that was under consideration right now. So,
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. So the waiver that we submitted was a reduction for the way the zoning ordinance is written. I think it's like up to 3 bedrooms in a condo-tel requires 2 parking spaces. Up to 4 requires 3. So we're asking for a reduction of up to 4 requiring 2, up to 3 requiring 1. So we would basically cut our parking request from a requirement from 23 to 12. That would significantly minimize how much parking we're having to go get off-site, which we would appreciate, as well as since it's going to operate just like the hotel. I mean, based on their historical operations, they usually don't get people bringing more than 1 car when they're staying. As far as how the parking's configured, and maybe some of y'all have stayed there before, but they operate strictly with valet parking. And so that's why they've been able to function pretty smoothly thus far, although it's kind of limited with their current off-site parking agreement just for the hotel, using that valet service. So they have not had a whole lot of, or really any struggles with that thus far. Kind of expect that to continue with this as well. The distance requirement that we were kind of operating under, or the assumption that Justice mentioned that there wasn't really a hard and fast rule. We kind of had 1,000 feet in our head. That's kind of how we were operating. I believe his current parking agreement is with the Methodist Church just to the north on the other side of Thatch. And so that would continue and grow. And I believe he's also been speaking with some folks to the south, immediately south, if he needs anything additional there, depending on what you guys decide. So, are there any specific parking questions? And maybe I need to wait till later, but.
I do have one. You mentioned that you don't have people coming but in one car, but they're in a hotel room. This is a 3 and 4 bedroom unit. Tell me, I'm not trying to get all up in the parking right now, second, but like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'm not in the biz, but I think they call that a suite, right? I mean, that's been our discussions to this point. And I'm just speaking from my experience. I mean, I think I've got 3 very small children, so anytime we go anywhere, we try to get something with more than 1 bedroom, or we're still rolling in 1 car. That's about as far as I can speak to it, other than what we've been provided by the owner. If he may have some supplemental information for that, if you need it.
Did you say there was a waiver for the parking in here?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see
No.
it.
So the waiver is associated with the DDRC, which is the first floor story height. The waiver that they requested it's an administrative one. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
So related to your comment about how many cars,
No, this is still a public hearing. Do you want?
I thought you were
Sorry.
I was going to say, do I need to come back later?
Specific questions he can come back for. Yes.
Okay. Other than that, I did want to point out, well, it was already mentioned that the DDRC was in favor of the 15-foot waiver. It's going to be a very pretty building. I'm excited about it. So that was, I think that was everything I had. So I'll be back in a second, I guess. Thank you.
Do you want to come to your public hearing as the applicant?
Either way, however you guys, if the question's gonna come up, and I think I can answer the question.
Perfect.
during the public
Please come
portion.
forward.
I'm Brian Worth. I live at 211 South Gay Street. I'm the developer on this condotel project along with my wife. We're the owners of the Collegiate Hotel next door. We've been the owners and operators for the past 8 years. As you all know, it came up earlier about parking there, that we did get a reduction from 1.5 spaces to 1 bedroom. We have successfully operated that at 41 space per bed at the hotel, and we have a great understanding of how the parking works in downtown Auburn and running a business. And we all know it's a challenge. We see that challenge every day running a restaurant downtown and nobody wanting to come eat that's local downtown because there's no parking. So that affects everybody, especially us business owners. So that is a primary business plan in our development. We do work with the United Methodist Church, which is across the street just to the south. We've operated with them for the past 8 years. We've talked to them about gaining permanent parking spaces for our guests at their location. We've also talked to the people at 255 East Thatch that own the old Mama Goldberg's condo. They have 16 spaces there that they're willing to lease to us the day we open. We've also talked with the North Cut, who has plenty of spaces just to the south of us that are also wanting to lease us spaces. For them, this is a money generator. They've got businesses that are looking to find new revenue sources. So the parking is not only very solvable, but we have multiple ways to solve the problem. And I think that is the solution, because we all know if you're got only one way to solve it, like other hotels in downtown Auburn, it's a little harder when you're trying to sleep that many people. Another thing to consider is Auburn is only full, of the 52 weekends a year, 25 to 30 weekends where we're needing all 40 spaces at the hotel. And during the week, it's Camp Where You Gonna Move In weeks, and that's really where you got to work at the hardest. So the parking problem is resolvable. That's what I'll talk in the public hearing, and then if you got any questions, we come back be more than happy to answer those.
Okay, public hearing is still open. If anyone else would like to come forward about the collegiate condotel. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions? Remember waiver first, please.
Well, I still have the question about the use and the reduction in parking. I understand the availability evidently, but what is the focus of rental? Is this game day? It sounds like a lot of game day. Is it something else? If it's
Oh,
game
I
day,
come
I
forward,
think
yeah.
you would probably see more than one vehicle there, most likely, but that's my opinion from being here for a long time.
So is the question, who are they renting to?
Who are they targeting? Who would they expect to rent to?
I think it's gonna be the exact same clientele they have at the current hotel. It's gonna function and operate through the Collegiate Hotel. They'll book these rooms on that website. They'll use that lobby to come and get their keys and check in,
But in the collegiate,
the whole thing.
it's not a suite, is it? Or is it? Single
I don't
individual
believe-
rooms?
Yeah.
Y'all may wanna answer that.
Yeah, and I guess kind of from a use standpoint, condotels were contemplated as the original short-term rental, and so they were that's why it's a condition that there can't be a primary residence there. Like it is the original short-term rental from a use standpoint, and so if they're sold, those people whoever buys them, they can't live there 7 days a week. They can come down Thursday to Sunday and kind of deal, but that's it.
Yes, so I'm Kim Worth, thank you for having us. And just to clarify, and I appreciate him, but he's probably getting to the business details. So these individual units will be owned, and then they will be operated as rental units from the hotel. So people will go on the website when the owners are not there occupying, and they'll have the option to rent it. So that would be functioning as additional 10 units of the hotel. They can also opt not to be in the rental program, because, obviously, full-time residence downtown is not what we're going after. But to be perfectly clear, we will not be allowing any subleases, any short-term rentals, any non-family rentals outside of the rental program. So these units can only be rented through the Collegiate Hotel. These would not be allowed to be on VRBO or any other site. So we manage that, which would, hopefully allay any things if some random person was renting this on Airbnb and wasn't managing the parking situation and all the things that go into that. We would be operating those as a extension of the hotel.
So, point of clarification, in the collegiate, you have individual rooms you rent, is that?
Correct, we
my
have
understanding?
40 rooms.
So in this case, you would have 10 three-bedroom units, so the potential would be that someone would rent a suite, and there could be 3 different unrelated people staying each in a bedroom.
No, well, unrelated, I don't know what you mean by
I'm just
that,
mean-
but there's not
my
lock-offs.
point is, you could have someone coming from Birmingham, someone coming from Atlanta, someone coming from Florida, all coming to stay in that one.
Correct, just as you do with
So
the
you could
hotel
have-
now.
You could have 3 vehicles.
Correct, and so, like with our hotel, we say, we offer 1 parking spot per person, and then you're required to find your own parking, which is a standard procedure. But yes, but I want to clarify, there's not going to be, these 3 units aren't going to, 1 unit isn't going to turn into 3 additional rentals.
No,
It's
I
one
understand that.
rental.
I'm just
So
saying-
typically, you'd have, a family with 3 kids, and they're all coming in the same car. Obviously, you could always have more than 1 car.
Right.
Any other questions for applicant? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Already closed the public hearing? Okay, so, all right, we need to vote on the waiver first?
Waiver first, but
Well,
is there discussion?
I've got a little bit of comment here. I'm still not comfortable with this whole parking thing. I'm not sure what rushing into this is the best idea. you know, I'd like to have some more discussion, I don't know, maybe a side, you know, a work session or something like that to get some clarity on what's going on here. I've heard a lot of stuff, and I keep looking at this space, and when you take the house out, you lose all your parking, and now where you're gonna go, and it's just not clear to me. And it's, being the location that it's at is, it's troublesome with the parking.
I have a concern, how does the city look at this? What if somebody wanted all off-site parking? Is that acceptable?
Well, you know,
Where's the breaking point?
Yeah,
Where's the breaking point?
so I guess kind of, you know, the ordinance does allow for, like I said, this is strictly commercial, not residential, and I think kind of hotel, motel stuff. It's like the one kind of commercial venture that does have required parking kind of in these areas, because normally in urban core, commercial doesn't require any parking. There's no requirements for it. So yeah, like I said, I think it's just kind of ironing out some of those details with it, of kind of where they would be, you know, within distance and all that other stuff. So
Didn't we have a similar situation on East Glen with Carvelo's restaurant and that?
yeah, and that was driven by an event space that was substantially larger than I think like kind of what they intended. I think their capacity was talking like 300-400, and then I think, but they were only trying to do, events for something else in the evening, and then all the parking would be taken. So.
I have to admit, I'm not all that concerned about the parking issue. I think traditionally downtown there's a little bit more flexibility than what is being thought of, I think, in this particular situation. I think that these individuals will be able to get the kind of spaces rented out from the church and from across the street and from this place and from that place, because these folks have a vested interest in making sure their customers have a place to be, and that they know where they're going to be parking. And probably over time, it's going to change a little bit based upon just simply what happens with parking around the area. All of a sudden, maybe the Methodists start having too many people show up for church, and so they have to change that. You know, there are all variety of different reasons, but I think there's a little bit more flexibility here to address these issues over time and right now than I think that some of our fellow commissioners maybe think.
Yeah, I've traveled to multiple places, and it's not uncommon to, you know, go to a popular area and, you know, be directed to off-site parking. So that's not a big issue for me.
Not a big issue.
My question is, I know that we're talking parking, but this is a conditional use, so I guess parking is not a waiver. So tell me about how this fits together as far as like moving forward or not, if the concern is parking.
So commercial uses can request administratively to have their parking reduced, and that's what's on the table now.
Yeah.
And then can also verifying their off-site parking agreement pretty much. And I think kind of what complicates this is kind of the existing relationship between this property and the Coho, just because this property serves as, you know, kind of the overflow parking for what they currently have, and so it does throw that a little bit. But like I said, I think, like I said, they have plans for it. It's something that we've talked about. It's just something that just needs to be reviewed. So
That is not some, could we collectively, if that was even on the table, put a condition on this condition use for that parking issue if someone felt that way?
yeah, well, I guess I don't.
It's administrative. I don't want to.
Yeah, no.
Supersede what's in place.
Yeah, that's under my purview. I guess not something that comes to the planning commission. So
Okay, that's fine. That's why I'm asking. But the conditional use itself.
right, and so conditional uses shouldn't be approved, I guess, unless you're, you know, unless you have clarity. I guess you shouldn't vote on conditional uses unless there's clarity on kind of all the conditions and everything. And I guess this is kind of why, you know, these things are conditional uses. So.
Okay. Any other clarity?
So we'd have to have a waiver for the 15-foot. That's what we have to have a waiver for.
Yes, and so like I said, DDRC was supportive of that.
Okay. Any other clarification needed on this conditional use request? by no means are we the final of any of this. So
Mm-mm.
we'll go forward to all the things that come after us.
City Council.
I make a motion to approve the
Waiver,
waiver?
waiver, please.
I make a motion to approve the waiver for KCU 2026-024 for from 18 feet to 15 feet.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the waiver for height change from 18 to 15. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And now I make a motion to approve KCU 2026-024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for conditional use collegiate condotel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
Hello again. This request is for a recommendation to City Council for conditional use approval for a commercial and entertainment use, a fitness studio located at 237 North Gay Street in the Urban Core zoning district. You can see here that the properties immediately surrounding this property are all in the Urban Core as well. This use would be located within an existing multi-tenant building with established commercial and entertainment uses there already. There is no parking required for commercial uses in the urban core, but this exhibit shows that there is parking available on the site. And this use is appropriate in the urban core at this location.
Thank you. This conditional use does require a public hearing. If you'd like to come forward and speak to Bash Reformer Pilates. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I think there was a question from staff of just if the applicant could identify the part of the building they'll be occupying on the site plan or the floor plan, that'd be appreciated.
Applicant here.
Please come forward. Pilates, you say?
That's not funny, Nanette. Nick Hayes, 235 North Gay Street. Justice, what was so if you're looking at that building there, the stretch of the roof that you see is 241
Yes.
would be where Bash is occupying.
Yeah, and then I guess it's kind of it's next I think is the floor plan shared, whole floor plan pretty much.
Yes.
Oh, it's the whole 241 section back there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And that is just the Bash space.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bash.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve KCU 2026-025 Bash Reformer Pilates.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. This is a conditional use request for an institutional use or a church to be located on North College Street across from Pine Hills Avenue in between Pick Elementary and the Catholic Church. The property is zoned DDH, is approximately 19.7 acres and is currently vacant. The applicant is requesting approval for 66,000 square feet. The initial phase will only include 11,000 square feet, and there's no timeline for the full build-out of the church. There is a greenway easement that will be required on the eastern portion of the property, and that will be required to be platted. The future land use plan is master plan mixed use. This designation was reserved for larger tracts of land. However, due to the surrounding pattern of development, a church would be considered contextually appropriate. Parking for churches are assessed at the max capacity of the sanctuary. The church is planning on having a 500 to 600 seat capacity, which would require 125 to 150 parking spaces. The site plan shows 220 right now. All of that would be worked out during the DRT process. Access on North College Street is being worked through currently, and I can answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Any have questions at this point, or I'll open the public hearing. The public hearing is required for Christ Presbyterian Church. If you'd like to speak on this agenda item, please let me know. Please come forward. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I have one question, and that's about the condition that's on it, on this.
Yes. So the condition references if they share access from Pick Elementary Drive. And so this is something that came up in the pre-app meeting. And it's initially kind of what they showed had, I guess, 3 ingress-egress points with one connecting to Pick Elementary. And this was something where we made the comment, or we made this condition should they decide to do it. We don't know if they are pursuing this. We don't know, where they are in that. But like I said, it was something that was presented to us in the pre-app meeting that we kind of felt an obligation to speak to should we get into a DRT, and then it becomes a sticking point about are they going to provide easements or not. So like I said, it was just something that they made us aware of, and that's just a comment that pertains to that. Even though what is before you all does not reflect that, and it's probably because they haven't ironed that out yet. So.
Move to approve case CU 2026-026.
Second.
With conditions. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Conditional use approval for Shelton Mill Townhomes Phase 5. The applicant, David Slocum, is requesting conditional use approval for a performance residential multiple unit development. The property currently contains 145 units and is already a multiple unit development. There are 39 units which have front parking access along Shelton Mill Road, which will be demolished. These will be replaced with 35 new townhome-style residential units, which will be closer to the property line along Shelton Mill, but will include rear parking and single-car garages. The proposed use appears to be consistent with the intent of the Development District Housing Zone District, or DDH, and as it is a redevelopment project and is complementary to surrounding uses. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. Thank you. This does require a public hearing. If you'd like to speak on this agenda item, please come forward. Your name and address, please.
Mrinal Thakur. We live at 971 Law Drive, right across. We are concerned that maybe if some trees are cut, then that will reduce the property value. And so that was our concern. And also there is a buffer zone if that is maintained.
Okay. Buffer zone. Thank you. Please sign in if you haven't. Public hearing, if anyone else would like to come forward. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Applicant, representative, do you?
Good afternoon, David Slocum. I'm the civil engineer for the project. He mentioned buffers and trees. There are a few trees near the existing entrance that would probably have to be cut down, maybe 2 or 3. But for the most part, there really are no trees because there's existing townhomes and parking there. I'm not sure what the question was about the buffers, but, you know, we're meeting all the buffer yard requirements.
Question is, this is just the front on Shelton?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Is there another exhibit? Yeah, there we go.
Front and back, yeah.
Okay.
It'll be right on the.
Street.
Okay, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Commissioners, any other questions for the representative?
Given, yeah, nothing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioners?
I would just comment that given what's going to be, this is going to be replacing what was previously there, I don't think your property value is going to have any issues. That this will be a significant you know, you won't see a decline in your property values because of this.
They're not adding anything, it's just.
Yeah, they're just tearing down the old stuff and putting in a new townhome.
Yeah, and I guess for people, I guess driving by, I guess when we had the pre-app on this, these were built in the ones that are there now were built in the 80s, and so I've kind of what the owner said is they've kind of served their useful life, and they are excited, really excited about this project. We kind of view this as an upgrade. So
It is a definite
It
upgrade.
is.
And we hope they will.
The public
Oh,
hearing
yeah,
is
d-
Medium
Public hearing is
cutting of
closed.
trees.
Okay, commissioners?
Move to approve KCU 2026-027, Shelton Mill Townhomes,
Second.
Phase 5.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, this is a conditional use request for an industrial use manufacturing to be located on the northern portion of the intersection at Biltmore Lane and Haygood Court, which is a newly dedicated road. The applicant is seeking approval for a 280,000 square foot manufacturing facility. The property is approximately 16.63 acres and is currently vacant. The first phase will only include 156,000 square feet. Parking is done at 1 space per employee on the largest shift, plus 1 per company vehicle normally stored on the premises. The current site plan shows 90 parking spaces for the first phase and provides, I believe, 220 for any expansion. So they should be good on parking. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Commissioners, this does require a public hearing.
Yep.
It's a conditional use for Kettenwolf. I'll open the public hearing at this time if anybody would like to come forward and speak on this agenda item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, comments, questions?
Move to approve KCU 2026-028 Kettenwolf.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay. This is a conditional use request for a commercial and entertainment use event center to be located at 1000 Main Street, Suite B. This is in Midtown. Property is zoned Corridor Redevelopment
Yeah.
District Suburban. The applicant is proposing to utilize an existing 1,200 square foot commercial unit as an event space rental for private events. The unit may also be used as an office or workspace for the other offerings. I believe they do balloon arches and signs of and stuff like that. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. There was comments that
Yeah.
Patrick.
yeah, I guess
That could
Reed,
be a comment.
if you wanted to elaborate, I guess on like what the feedback was from inspections.
With event centers, they're not sure. I don't think they've done a building inspection yet to see whether bathroom facilities would be needed, but that is something that they're looking into. I don't think we have standards right now in the zoning ordinance for event spaces. or
Yeah,
event
and so
centers.
so with that's kind of one of the things that like we've been working on, one of those draft ordinances, and I guess that's kind of tied to frat houses, event centers, kind of all those different things that we're currently working on. We've been working in tandem with inspections on that, but I guess kind of my position that I kind of made clear on Monday was just we'd prefer kind of for inspections to kind of firm up kind of their position on it before, we kind of move forward with the conditional use associated with it. And I think that's just because there's been so much scrutiny kind of placed on event centers and kind of parking and kind of all the things and kind of the additional concerns that people have around them. So kind of once we get that squared away, I think we'll be much more comfortable because then we'll be able to tell you guys what will be required and what won't.
Want to make it a condition
do
or
we want
propose?
to-
Nah, I would say postpone, yeah.
Okay.
I need to- Do you want me to still do the public hearing today?
I'd rather just postpone it.
Okay, postpone without public hearing.
Okay, I make a motion to postpone KCU 2026-029 until July 9th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to postpone to date certain, July 9. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, we're getting there. The next request is for a recommendation to City Council for conditional use approval for a road service use, a car wash at 2865 East University Drive in the Comprehensive Development District zoning district. The use would be located next to, adjacent to the existing Store Ease storage facility and the Russell Building Supply currently on the site, and across from the Shops at Cary Creek Neighborhood Shopping Center. The use would take access from two points on a private drive off of East University Drive. The zoning ordinance, the corridor overlay regulations would apply to the site. If the site was to be developed as shown on this plan, we would require that the vacuum bays, they are proposing 20 of them, that those would be clad. And I can potentially answer questions you may have.
Let me open the public hearing. This conditional use does require a public hearing for New Day Car Wash. I would like to open that now if you'd like to come forward and speak on this agenda item.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Daniel Soto. I'm here on behalf of the representative for the applicant. So this car wash, we have it shown as on the site plan. They are proposing they're gonna clad the vacuum pumps, and we're open to answer any questions you may have.
And in this model, vacuum pumps
They are
face East
north-
University.
Yes, north face.
Yeah, and I guess just for it's not an or situation. It is a both. So the building has to be cladded, period. And then if they wish to have the site oriented this way with the vacuums facing East University, those need to be cladded as well. So it's not a they clad one or the other. It was both.
Okay, I feel like there was a question, a packet about a different orientation.
Yeah, so I guess kind of that's up to y'all, but I guess kind of that's where we left it on the staff side. And then so if the building's gonna have to be cladded, and if they would like to have the site oriented this way, then the vacuums are gonna need to be cladded as well.
The other option is to flip them.
You can do that. It's up to you.
All right.
Anything further?
Do you have any questions for the representative?
I have a question. A way that land looks like with the drain and I guess the creek or all, I guess the retaining wall, it's just gonna sit up and back.
It's gonna be outside
way-
the sewer easement, and to make the pad and site buildable, we're gonna propose, we haven't done the math yet, but
Does
we're
it
gonna
kind of sit
propose.
high and back, I guess,
Yeah.
from the road? I mean, it just, I don't know, it looks
Yeah, so kind of
through there where the storage units.
kind of like he's saying. It's actually going to remain berry wooded, even though those are pine trees and kind of the canopies are at the top there. But it's going to be pretty far back from the road. I think probably the biggest question, probably on our side, kind of beyond orientation, probably was the left turn coming out of I guess I don't even know the name of this road, but the private road, kind of making a left on the EUD going northbound. That was one that had a lot of consternation from engineering around, what that would look like. So,
Okay, any other questions? Public hearing is still open, so I'll close that if I can. Anyone else like to come forward, speak on this agenda item? Thank you. I'll close the public hearing at this time. Commissioners?
Yes, I have a question, thought on this. I guess where it says do not enter, is that supposed to be where you can come out? Looks like there's 3 ways to access.
yeah, so it's really, I guess that'd be a better thing
Yeah,
for him to.
yeah, that's my question.
So the design intent would be that as a exit only, and they would just immediately exit towards the light. So it's exit only, not entrance.
Okay, so,
And it'd be a secondary use for fire access.
oh, that would be.
So without having to make that
So,
U-turn
so it'll be
past
over
the
in front of the storage
The
area.
storage.
Yeah, it's across the road there.
Yes.
And that would be where the light is. Okay,
And
because that was what was confusing, is why is that other drive there?
Yeah, it's
Across
purely
from Russell.
as exit only for anybody who doesn't want to vacuum their car out or anything.
Right.
They don't feel like driving through there. A secondary purpose would be fire access, so they would either enter or exit through there to make it easier as possible.
Okay, so now you're saying that customers can go out if they don't want to use the.
They can choose to go out that side if they'd like,
But you can't go in.
but you cannot go in, correct?
This is kind of a question for staff. So if we flip this so that the building is to the East University side, just the building have to be cladded, or do we still have to clad the vacuum?
Yeah. So just the building would have to be cladded.
Yes. You're the applicant? You're the applicant? Yes. Please come forward. Yeah.
Thank you. So to your point, on the drive, I'll try to get both questions. First of all, Tom Spees, on behalf of the applicant, I'm with the New Day Car Wash brand based out of Birmingham. The 90% of the people that we have go through our washes, this is be our 9th location, use the wash. So there's very few people who actually leave and exit without going through the vacuum. And to the point here was there was a dual purpose for fire emergency access there. Honestly, when we've talked this with staff, if the requirement would be to put the building to the front, we would probably withdraw our application. I mean, for us, we are very, very finicky about how we design our buildings, how the customer views a corridor.
So are we. That's
Yeah, I know, absolutely, 100%. I'm agree. And I will tell you that I think we've done a really good job working with the master developer on moving some of our usual design that we do to fit with the cladding and the brick. Also talked to the staff about the vacuums being clad. We're very heavily, I don't know, there's more, I think there are more exhibits.
Oh yeah, I guess I think we just included the site plan on this one.
We heavily landscape our sites. The staff has made it clear that they want to see no vacuum equipment, outside of the cladded booms. And so we probably build the most expensive car wash in America, to be honest with you, but it's just, we just do it, it's very nice, and
Well, it's just the view.
Excited about being in Auburn.
It was just the view from East University, you know.
I'm
and
sorry?
It was just the view from
Yeah,
East University that I'm concerned about, and especially it being the corridor sort of, you know, area. But if you're, you know, if it's all clad and the city's, you know, staff is satisfied with that, I'm good with it too.
I have a question. What is your color scheme?
Well, normally it's white with a blue stripe, but in this case, the master developer has asked us to match more of the color scheme with the
Storage.
Cary Crossing and
Very great. So
the
the-
Russell Building.
the browns and the-
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
the browns.
The darker
Yeah,
browns.
and it was actually in the submission as well. I'm sorry that you don't have access to
Well,
that.
that's why I asked, because you said
Yeah.
there were some other things.
Yes,
And I think
ma'am.
that matters as far as
Yes,
vision.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The brighter it is, the more of a eye draw it is.
Ooh, no, don't say eyesore, no.
Draw, I changed it to draw. Very quick.
Good,
Quick on
thanks.
the feet. Okay, thank you.
All right. Also, significant elevation difference from a
Yes.
driver's perspective
Yeah.
on each university to where the building will actually sit. It's about 20, 30 feet of elevation difference. So we're looking at the earth embankment,
We're-
sewer easement before.
Yep.
This is the building.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think just probably the only other relevant thing. I know water resource management. I know Chris mentioned that y'all had information y'all needed, information y'all wanted to get just kind of on water usage that I think they answered last week.
Yeah, we got that information already. It's really pertaining to their amount of water they recycle. This was something that come up. We started looking at our heavy water uses during the drought, a few weeks ago, and we had some of our existing car washes that were pretty high volume water users, and it was something that we were asking for some information on. The information they provided, they recycle about 60% of their water, which is good.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Okay, commissioners?
Move to approve CU 2026-030.
Second.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
So this is conditional use approval for Sohan Plant Number 3. It's south of Kettenwolf. The applicant, the Industrial Development Board of the City of Auburn, is requesting conditional use approval for the construction of an industrial use auto supply manufacturing facility. The applicant is proposing to construct a 478,250 square foot building for an automotive supply assembly and warehousing facility. Phase 1 will include a 258,250 square foot building, leaving about 220,000 square feet for future expansion. The subject property is in the industrial zone district, and the proposed use appears to be consistent with the intent of future land use designations.
Excuse me.
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
There we go.
I do have a question, but I don't know if this is
Oh, yeah.
the time for it. Is there an empty building already sitting near there?
No, so yeah. So this is all kind of that slow march from a future land use standpoint. West Annex 2. So there's an existing mobile home park down there, and then that's if you go to the dead end of this road, that's where Young's Plant Farm is.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and then further up there was school property, but now it's IDB property. So that I don't. Yeah, the only buildings I think out there are the Young's Plant Farm.
This does require a public hearing, so I'll open that now if you'd like to speak on this conditional use agenda item. Seeing no one, close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Move to approve KCU 2026-039.
Second.
On plant number 3.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, 229 T Court expansion. Request is for recommendation to City Council for conditional use approval for an existing industrial use manufacturing of an expansion. So T Court right off of Pumphrey Avenue, just really kind of one of our older parts of the industrial parts of the city. The existing building is about 51,000 square feet. The proposed expansion is about 30,000 square feet. They are looking at acquiring additional land to the east. Like I said, this is an expansion, so the existing curb cuts are what is going to be used. Like I said, existing expansion, so utilities aren't a concern in this area either. And with this T courts, not a corridor or any of those things. Like I said, I mean, this is just a pretty cut and dry industrial use expansion in an existing industrial park off of Pumphrey on T Court. So with that, if you guys have any questions, happy to answer.
Does require a public hearing. I'll open this now. If you have anyone who'd like to speak on conditional use 229 T Court expansion. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners.
Motion to approve CU 2026-040229 T Court expansion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Last but not least, a recommendation to City Council for conditional use approval for a performance residential development, a 12-unit, multiple-unit development located at 1256 Shug Jordan Parkway in the redevelopment district zoning district. The property has frontage on Shug Jordan, Judd, and Alberta, and the development would take access off of Judd Avenue. The future land use designation for the property is neighborhood preservation. The property is located in a redeveloping area. There has been a 16-unit cottage housing development here, to the southeast. And then down here is going to be a mixed-use development with a townhouse-style product with commercial space. While this project does not directly align with the future land use designation, as a conditional use, the Planning Commission and City Council are able to determine the appropriateness of the use at this location.
Thank you. Are there any concerns or conditions or comments?
We did have comments, nothing groundbreaking, and there were no recommended conditions of approval.
Just remember that in packet there was a comment about moving the ingress and egress.
Yeah, so we can go to the next one, like the next exhibit. Yeah, so initially the drive was closer to the intersection of Judd Avenue and Richland Road. It just was not compliant with driveway, I guess with intersection spacing. That might be the wrong technical engineering term. I'm not an engineer. But that was the issue, and so that pushed it further away. And then I guess there's another one of what it actually looks like. Go to the next one. There we go. So yeah, I guess kind of from the future land use standpoint, I think kind of a similar thing. Spot zoning is not really on the table here since this isn't a rezoning request. It's really just conditional use. Really, we talked about it in our meeting kind of beforehand today. This whole area is zone RDD, which is a redevelopment district, 16 dwelling units an acre. 5 unrelated is all possible, and RDD. And the area did just get the cottage houses with the multifamily across the street, and then gonna be like a little commercial node. So there's that, and then there was Piper Glen that also is single family residential. Compact lots, though. I mean, those are performance lots of 5,000 square feet, really. So,
I forgot to mention that we did receive some correspondence, and there was a gentleman who expressed concern with an increase in stormwater runoff, parking that may happen on Judd Avenue, and trash.
Parking requirements met, though.
yes, and so and so that's kind of why they got the surface street parking interior to the site. That is a requirement, just kind of like you guys know, in all residential projects, must park. There is on-site parking is required, and then kind of the other aspect of that. I mean, the Alberta is kind of its own world as far as like from a drainage standpoint. They got engineering be able to speak to that, but there's a lot of water over there.
this does require a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing at this time for conditional use on Sugar Jordan Residential. If you'd like to come forward, please do so now.
Lee Tharp, cadre for the applicant. I'll talk fast because I'm hungry.
So are we.
Yeah, I bet. Perfect. So this will go quick. This is kind of a continuation of, like Justice mentioned and Amber mentioned, of what we've done kind of across the street on Judd. Feel like it fits pretty well with what's recently been developed with Piper Glen, kind of the edge of Piper Glen directly across Alberta. This is a relatively new rendering, so you probably didn't see this before right now. But it's a similar setup. It's almost like a hybrid of what we've done in the first, I don't want to call them phases because they weren't technically related, but with the cottage mixed with the townhome style units and that kind of central court that was really important to the developer on this. And we think it's worked out really well with the cottage development off of Judd. So that was very important. Also trying to kind of clean up the frontage along Alberta. If you guys have been out there, there's a lot of there's a lot of topography. There's an existing city, I believe it's a city constructed, but I think it's on private property. Maybe the wall up on Richland. I may be misspeaking there. Logan, correct me at some point, but
That's OutDOT.
that's DOT. Excuse me, DOT. So it's a DOT wall. But either way, a lot of topography. Gets pretty good going down the hill there towards Alberta, which is part of what's driving where we're trying to put the driveway here. The topography is a real constraint on this one. There will be kind of a terracing effect from with the way we build the pads and everything, the way the parking lot will go in. From our perspective and from the development perspective, this is really the best way that we could lay this thing out to be able to, one, be cost effective, but two, have it play the way they want it to, both internally and at the street frontage. So it's very important with how this thing presents kind of outward is the goal there. Like you mentioned, at one point we had a different concept where we're basically using the existing house's driveway, which is just right there on the corner. So we had a lot of discussions at the pre-app about that, came back with something different, pushed it more than 100 feet back down towards Alberta to try to accommodate some of those concerns while also making this thing developable. So those are my main points I wanted to get up and talk with you about. They're big on landscaping, making things look good, which I think is evidenced by the last couple of developments. Stormwater.
Yes.
Almost forgot. This is a very small piece of property. The goal on how we would handle stormwater here, we're going to be required to comply with the city's water quality standards. Several of the approved methods of water quality treatment are infiltration controls, which reduce runoff. Now, obviously, we're adding impervious area, but the goal would be to mitigate that with infiltration controls. Like, there's a bunch of different options available to us. Bioretention, pervious pavers, things like that. So we would evaluate that as we design it to see what's going to work best with the layout and the topography. So,
Okay.
all right.
Other questions?
You got any questions? I'm around. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing? Else wants to come forward to speak on this? I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Questions, comments, motions?
Move approval of CU 2026-043.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Moving into new business.
No updates from me.
Move to adjourn.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?